just different.
Yeah.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please. Mayor Bailey. Here. Mr. Bateman.
Here.
Mr. Goodyear.
Here.
Mr. Hart.
Here.
Mr. Ori.
Here.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Here.
Here.
Is it mine?
Chris. Go.
Seems to happen when I talk.
These aren't turned on.
These are not. Chief did. Power.
He pulled his.
I know. Oh, that was different. It's not good. Welcome. With us tonight, we have our Director of Finance, Mark Medler, Assistant City Manager, Chris Weinich, Clerk of Council, Misty Clark, City Manager, Dave Kennedy, City Solicitor, Joe Braun, Chief of Police, Michael Gabrielson, former council members, Kent Blair, Todd Osborne, and Pat Mays. That's everybody. Welcome. Before it all goes to heck, let's get started. Chief?
This one.
This is over there. Come on up, Jack. Thank you, Mayor. We are proud to.
Hundreds of hours of specialized training, particularly in narcotics investigation, beyond professional daughter and then for their unwavering support for please join us in celebrating education.
Well, we all know, anyone that's been in this room, how important what we do day in and day out. Thank you guys for
Oh, verification.
We're gonna have to do a picture.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that's what I'm hearing.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Jenna Fisher. Yeah, I know. I do too. She's not close. Thanks for all you do.
Last time was real finicky.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Very nimble.
Yes.
Crazy. All right, next is open forum. Jim Belmont.
doing two things at once. I'm sorry. Check 1 2. Good.
Yank it
Jim Dahlmeyer, 452 Pintail Drive. Thank you for having me tonight. Thanks for everyone for coming. I just wanted to talk about that we still have PFAS in our water, and I know that we all agree that this is a problem, and the long-term solution is underway. The short-term solution is still lacking. I've had the opportunity to talk with many residents over the past few months. There has been a lot of frustration and shock that our city is not doing a better job on this front. Our police keep us safe. Our fire department keeps us safe. Our water should be safe. There needs to be a town hall about our water. The city website is lacking of information and data about our risks. The one question I've heard the most is, why hasn't the city taken the water from the Cincinnati Water Works? Here's where I can only hypothesize. My conversation continues with the residents on the hypothetical. That doesn't help them, it doesn't help me, but it certainly doesn't help the city to have a bunch of concerned citizens trying to figure out how to be safe around our water supply. So I'm asking for you to come out and talk with our residents. We need clarity about our questions. We have a lot of smart, science-minded residents who are at a loss of why the city's inactivity for our current water supply. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have review and approval of minutes from the October 28th special city council meeting. Are there any changes or additions?
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, next is approval of the review and approval of the minutes from the October 28th, 2025 city council meeting. Are there any changes or additions to that?
Make a motion to approve those. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori? Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, next we have a public hearing. Can we have a motion to open that particular public hearing?
I'll make a motion to approve or to open the public hearing for case number 25-04, establishing a special planning district, number 20 for Highland of Loveland.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, we're going to go ahead and just go have the public hearing. We'll be in from staff when we get to that point. Oh, I'm sorry.
I need to call the roll.
You should call the roll.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Deidre Hazelbaker.
Hi, my name is Deidre Hazelbaker, 101 Ash Street. Most of us support thoughtful growth and agree that Loveland needs a broader mix of housing, particularly options in workforce and seniors who wish to remain in the community. But under Section 11501 of our zoning code, a special planning district is meant to encourage innovative design, higher standards, and community amenities, not simply provide flexibility for a developer. The code explicitly states SPDs are intended, and now I'm just quoting the section, lands which permit ingenuity, imagination, and design efforts of the part of the builders, architects, and site planners and developers that can produce residential developments which are in keeping with the overall land use intensity and open space objectives of the comprehensive plan while departing from the strict application of use, setback, height, and minimum lot size requirements. So that means the flexibility should be earned by producing something better than what the standard zoning allows. So yet according to the Planning and Zone Commission's own notes pulled from the minutes, this proposal is similar and in some cases less dense than some of the surrounding uses. If the density is roughly the same as in already permitted under the residential MF zoning, what is the public benefit that justifies this SPD? The commissioners also mentioned that this would provide flexibility and creative in zoning that does not offer a product such as the one proposed. That would be beneficial by offering affordable or single-family homes. But no affordability range or commitment was defined. Without clear price points, this development risks producing homes that are too expensive for the families and seniors it claims to serve. So the parking and sidewalks and stormwater were also discussed but not resolved as having issues. Under the section, again, 1151.08, an SPD must be in the public interest, not solely for the interest of the applicant. The community should expect a clear public return, whether it's attainable housing, safer walkability, and preserving maybe green space. If those outcomes aren't guaranteed, this project should proceed under the traditional zoning rather than through the SPD that offers this flexibility without the public interest.
Thank you. Todd Osborne.
Todd Osborne, 1100 Sunrise Drive and Loveland Heights resident. Good evening, Council. The Highlands Project. What version is this? In reading the administration memo, it left out around 3.5 years of valuable information, including portions of this project's genesis. It also has incorrect information. This part first. On Council Packet page 31, the memo infers, in part, that this proposal is consistent with the Comprehensive Master Plan because it supports reinvestment of the Loveland Heights neighborhood, affordable price point, and improving pedestrian connectivity. As I stated in the June 17th Planning and Zoning meeting, which minutes leave out this nugget, this set of properties are not located in Loveland Heights at all, but rather the J.V. Cushing subdivision. This is as much being in the Heights as Stony Brook being in Fox Chase subdivision. Tonight's memo, as well as this past June's Planning and Zoning memo, lacked any detail of the April 4th 2023 Planning and Zoning meeting packet. It's on the city's website if you want to pull it up, which included a very detailed memo from the then city engineer and a Choice 1 engineering report of 38 pages detailing stormwater issues of the west parcel. It was determined that basically the west lot could not be built on for the need of proper stormwater retention. Your packet tonight is void of that information. It's void of any information between 2021 and 2024 that P&Z received and discussed. An adjacent apartment property owner to the west parcel spoke in one of the numerous hearings detailing the flooding his property has received and that the west lot receives stormwater runoff from the north half of the Heights and the adjacent Loveland Pines. This proposal is not truly individually owned properties, but rather 7 condo units, not pods, condo units, which has a very high density, lack of sidewalks on the eastern parcels, little off-street parking, and some of the units will be required to use the West Main sidewalks as their driveways and parking places. How this meshes with pedestrian connectivity beats me. I guess forcing people to walk in the streets is okay. Traffic load of 45 to 60 additional vehicles onto Cherokee and English will cause hardship for existing residents. The poor line of sight from English to West Loveland will more likely see additional wrecks. The original 18 row homes were tight. The 4-story apartment complex was too high and dense. Likewise, this project is also too dense. It can't use Westover or Miami Trails apartment complex for extra parking. As for setbacks, you're being asked for 0-foot side setbacks. A wall of homes. That's not consistent with surrounding properties. This project either needs tabled or voted down. True discussion on stormwater issues, parking issues, and density issues need to happen before a special planning district is granted. The eastern parcel can be developed with some common sense and not cram 23 or more units onto two parcels just to make financials work. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ori,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps,
Yes.
Mr. Ping,
Yes.
Mayor Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear,
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right. Now we need a motion on the next public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for case number 25-05, zoning text amendment map addendum Nest Park or Nest District.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
We have a second?
Oh, second.
Well, God. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Phelps,
Yes.
Mr. Ping,
Yes.
Mayor Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Ori.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
We do not have anyone signed up to speak. We have a motion to close, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ping,
Yes.
Mayor Bailey,
Yes.
Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Ori,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. Weinich.
The public hearing in front of you, just closed for SB for the Highlands of Loveland. It is what you have in front of you is the potential adoption of concept, development guidelines, and the written findings of fact. JA Development LLC is the applicant and the owner of the properties that are looking to be developed. They're looking to develop 23 single-family attached residential dwelling units, and take a look at the site plan, the concept plan that they provided. They're in what I'm calling pods of 3 and 4, which come up to comes up to 23 single-family homes. The total acreage for both parcels on the west and east of Highland is approximately 1.7433 acres. So that's a little bit of background, just a little bit of summary of what the SPD is. As far as the background on this property, the city of Loveland owned it up until September of 2020. At that point, it was sold to Parkside Development, a different owner at the time than the current owner. If you recall, this sale, when we made the sale, actually jump-started the Loveland Heights Rehabilitation Program, which the CIC administers. So that was a good thing for this area. And at that time, I think I wasn't around, but in 2020 or 2021, Parkside Development came to BZA for a bunch of variances. They were looking to do single-family housing, and I think if I am correct, a lot of those variances revolved around setbacks, and I do believe density was one of them at that point. That fell through, and then recently in February 2024, Pivotal Housing Partners LLC partnered with that same owner, looking to do a 50-unit residential multifamily development. Once again, just to keep in mind, this is currently zoned RMF, so residential multifamily. So they were looking to put 50 units, and that was approved from the Board of Zoning Appeals for density, front yard setbacks, parking spaces, and building heights. That essentially fell through. That was going to be a state-funded assistance program that they were going to use. So that fell through. Your current applicant and owner, JA Development, they presented their regional plan actually to the Board of Zoning Appeals on March 31st, 2025. At that point, they were citing it on 2 separate lots, one on the west side of Highland and one on the east side. So it was two large lots, and they were basically going under the RMF zoning, and they were looking for several variances, those being parking, density, and setbacks. They actually received those from BZA, So when they went back and they kind of looked at their concept, and once again, the developer is here, and they can answer some more questions too. They decided it made a lot more sense for them to try to market these as for sale homes rather than apartment type style. When they brought that to staff, we said, all right, now we're getting into way too many variants. This isn't really what BZA is set up for. This is really more now you're looking at an SPD. So they went back to the drawing board, developed their SPD application, and that's essentially what you've seen submitted. So it has gone through the steps with Planning and Zoning Commission. They felt it did meet the requirements of the SPD, which you can find in 115103. They had their public hearing. It wasn't all unanimously approved. And so therefore now the process brings it back to you to determine if the concept plan, development guidelines, and written findings of fact meet the SPD qualifications. Just a couple more of the stats of the project. The minimum lot areas will range between 1,690 square feet to 4,783 square feet. The gross density is 13.19 units per acre, and the dedicated open space is 0.295 acres, which is approximately 16.9% of the overall project. Some of the other things that stand out of why this is an SPD as far as why it could fall as in the RMF current zoning. They need to adjust their lot lists. Those are minimum of 20 foot. Their side yard setbacks, they are zeros, or technically they're zeros because these are all individual parcels. So the zero setback when the pod is 3 or 4 between the middle houses is 0. However, the setbacks, and this is pulled out of the concept plan from the neighbors, you will see the minimum setback is 10 feet. It does vary as far as what it is, so the concept plan, essentially what is in this concept plan would be binding if this was approved. The biggest thing, and this is in your legislation, there's basically three things you're approving, right? So the first, and this is most important, is required findings of fact. There's 3 different elements that it potentially has to meet one of those 3. I'm not going to read the first 2 because it clearly does not meet those. C is where this project would fall, potentially. Lands which permit for ingenuity, imagination, and design efforts on the part of builders, architects, site planners, and developers that can produce residential developments which are in keeping with overall land use intensity and open space objectives of a comprehensive plan, while departing from strict application of use, setback, height, and minimum lot size requirements currently contained in the zoning code. And that's where, when they came back with this of wanting to do this for sale product, that's why we put them down this path for the SPD. I think the other 2 are obviously your conceptual plan and development guidelines. Those are all outlined in the memo. The one thing that I have not talked about that is a little different in this project is their request for parking. They do provide the minimum 1 off-site, as well as, so these all have garages, and they do have at least one spot in the driveway for a vehicle. They are requesting 14 spaces that are located on Highland Street and on West Main Street, and these would be located within the right of way. So these are essentially parking spaces for visitors or for overflow parking for anyone else that's there, which in staff's point of view, based on the width of Highland and West Main, it's kind of a good thing rather than having on-street parking, get people off the street. So that is a request as part of this SPD. That's a little unique. Other than that, that's kind of the summary of what this developer is looking for. The developer is here, as well as their engineer. If you have any questions for them or for me, I'll open it up back to council.
Well, and I thought we would start with Mr. Weinich, and then if we have questions for the developer, rather than have him just stand there, we'll do that. Okay. Mr. Bateman, do you want to start as our representative to Planning and Zoning?
Sure. Yeah, I think Mr. White, I appreciate the background that you provided on this. From our perspective, I think a little bit from the P&Z side, I do think that this, from the get-go, fit the description of the initiation of the SPD, and I think the desire that the city has had to, from the time that we sold this, to see housing develop there in some form. And it sounds like through the BZA process that there were sort of walking up this project continually in previous ownership hands was walking up to the edge of declaring an SPD and coming just short of that. And for whatever reason, those plans fell short of becoming a reality. So given the circumstances, I think it made sense to try a different alternative, a different route. And really, my main contention is that if we're looking to try to identify where this need is, you can forget for a moment the sensitive site planning and the context of the area that's being developed. But the fact is that this is an area that has probably been lacking in some investment over the years, and that housing, owner-occupied housing is a need in this community. And from a council perspective on P&Z, I think that was what pushed it over the edge for me. I think it fit the criteria given the circumstances of the project over time, the original intent of the city putting this into a development opportunity, and then the current situation in the market and in that community. I'll close by saying that I do believe that there's a significant impact that this has on the neighborhood of the Heights, and I don't really consider this as part of the Heights. There's certainly a different transition that occurs as you move up the hill and into the Heights proper, but I would advise this council and future councils that this suits this particular site and doesn't necessarily, at least in my view, offer as a template for what may be there in the future. That I think this is a good example of infill development as opposed to growing and expanding outward. And if this type of project were to become more popular, commonplace in different areas of the city, I don't know that it would have gotten as far as it has today.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Mr. Hart?
So I was initially torn on this and had to kind of think through some things, and I talked to Mr. Kennedy about a few things. What it came down to and why I intend to support this, this does feel like an investment, while not in exclusively the Heights proper. This drives investment in that direction, and I think that it fits with the other units that are up there. We have multifamily up there already. It's in line with what is in that area. I don't think that 23 units, when you put it next to all the other units that are up there, I don't think from a percentage increase standpoint, I don't think it's going to be they're talking about 40 cars total. I don't see that being a significant increase over what's already in that area. There's already some apartment complexes, there's already some condos, there's already multifamily up there. I don't think the percentage increase is going to drive, the density drive there is not going to be very impactful. I would lean in kind of what Mr. Bateman said, that I don't know that this fits in other areas of the city. I don't know that I would approve this or support this in other instances, but it does fit in where it's located right now, and it's an investment into something the city's been investing in continuously over the last several years, and trying to continue to raise the level of that neighborhood and area of the city. So I think this is in line with what we should be doing in this area of the city. So I intend to support this.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Anybody else have any comments or questions for Mr. Weinich or for the developer? Vice Mayor?
I'll just throw out that, I'm aware from the real estate aspect that there are more people seeking to live in Loveland than there are places to live. And I think this is not only an attractive aesthetically, but it fits the space in which it's being built. And I see this as something that does comport with our regulations on an SPD, and I see it as nothing but an enhancement that is a needed enhancement in a city that's largely built out. I would not support 50 units, yet this seems to be an appropriate middle point in terms of it being multi-units, but they are homes, and I think they'll be cared for by their owners, and they'll maintain their value into the future.
Thank you. Any further comments? Yes, Mr. Bateman?
Just a couple of questions. Along the lines of the parking, is this, I'm just curious, is this the same area where we had it widened? Are we in a position to grant additional parking because of the work we did where we extended that, or am I misconstruing two separate incidents?
So it was wide in this area, or at least on high. But I still don't think it was widened, but it's still not conducive. If I had a choice driving down the road, safety of getting cars off of the road and a parking spot potentially just feels safer to me. Could you park cars on the road? Yes, you could. It's still not.
It's not enough.
With
Okay.
normal subdivision.
Okay, the other question I had was with regards to like the stormwater and the runoff plan. Since this is not necessarily like a development apartments where there would be a property manager or anything like that, what can you tell me a little bit about the maintenance plan or anything regarding the liability with regards to stormwater, as it were, for this particular project?
Yeah, so two points to that. They did submit, however, they did not have to at this point. They submitted a drainage report for all their stormwater as well as the offsite stormwater. That's currently being reviewed, kind of on hold because I didn't want our city engineer to keep going down that path until we knew where we're going. However, that's been submitted as far as how the drainage is going to be handled. As you see there, it's a decent sized detention basin. The detention basin will be owned. The intent is to put an HOA in place.
Okay.
Can correct me if I'm wrong. The intent is to put an HOA in place, and that would be maintained. That drainage area would be maintained by the HOA.
Okay. Thank you.
That's part of the development guidelines. So you read the development guidelines. I've outlined that. So, and not that the developer would, if they went back on that, the project dies. So.
Right. That's one of the advantages of an SPD is that we can write specific conditions in. Okay. Thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Ping.
Just a couple of things. One, if memory serves me, the reason for widening at the time on Highland was primarily for fire engine access. Correct. Yeah. So not necessarily for parking. And when in looking at this, the layout of these, what I'm reminded of is like areas of our community like Hidden Creek or the condo section of White Pillars with I'm specifically looking at page 30 of packet if you're following along. In the fact that you have detention back behind units, you have off-street parking that provides overflow parking for guests and that kind of thing. And so to Mr. Weiniger's point, that seems superior to me to having on-street parking to have this off-street. So I don't see the detraction of that. This is, I guess, to me, kind of to speak off of other points that have already been made, kind of falls in the category of a transitional area. When we did the SPD here, just up towards Henry Hanna's farm, was kind of a similar thing where we were debating about whether or not this made sense in the area. Well, in this particular area, you have multi-story, multi-family housing that is an apartment building that's not too far away. You have apartments that are smaller, for lack of a better way of saying it, more residential looking. That the houses don't look like they don't look like apartments as much. They look more like just a really big house type of thing. And so, as a transitional thing, it kind of makes sense to me that you would have something like this. And certainly, I live not far from here, and going through that area for many years, these lots have been vacant and haven't exactly been kept in pristine order all the time. So I think there's benefit in having it developed. As one question, I guess, on the detention aspect of this, and I don't know if this is for Mr. Weinich or for the developer, but when we're talking about the HOA maintaining this, are we talking about maintaining it in operational aspect, or are we talking about more of just mowing it and that kind of thing?
The development guidelines call out that it's operational. So that should be developer, so the HOA.
And the HOA would also be responsible for maintenance of the parking lots. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any further comments or questions? I keep calling you the developer because I can't pronounce your name. So do you want to come up? Do you have anything you want to say? Tell us what your name is.
Hi, Joe Christo, 51 Traditions Turn, Montgomery, Ohio. Thank you for the intuition into the project. I agree with you that not all products fit all areas in your city, but looking at it in a granular level, you saw that there was a need for a certain price point in a product, and we agree. We think that there is a fit. There is a lot of dynamic offerings for people at the $700,000, $800,000 price point. We're trying to do that at the attainable price point. And I think that really came together at the Highlands. A lot of the issues have been covered. This will be HOA managed with the parking lots and the basins. And if there's one thing that we're well versed with the HOAs is maintaining the stormwater basins. Mahali and his team have gone to great detail with the stormwater calculations, and the basin is sizable. And while it can become a marketing issue when your rear yard is taken up by a lot of a stormwater basin, it's a reality of the world we live in, because it's very critical that developers take that issue seriously. If there's any other questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, anybody, anything further? All right, I would just say I agree that this does meet the requirements for an SPD for all the reasons that planning and zoning found. I'm very happy that it is I much prefer that these units be for sale rather than rent. That makes, I think that's a positive, especially for that particular location. So I do support this project as well. All right, so can we go ahead and read the resolution, please?
Resolution adopting finding of fact, conceptual plan and development guidelines for the establishment of a special planning district 20 in accordance with Part 11, Title 3, Chapter 1151 of the Loveland Code of Ordinances.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Resolution 91 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
All right. Mr. Weinich, this is the next one is on page 142 of your packet. So we need to scroll through to find it. Now I'm trying to help y'all. Go right ahead, sir. I know. I've got it marked. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been since, I believe it's 5 years now. 3 years. 1-year extensions with Rocky, Ohio. That's currently our waste and recycling provider here in the city. We do partner with the Center for Local Government, with several other communities. We're part of what's called the Southwest Ohio Regional Refuse Consortium. So we go together and kind of bid it together. It does help. We think it helps. We believe it will help with some pricing. As part of this with some other communities, about 6 other communities. We went out back in, I think it was May, May 19, 2025, we opened the bids. We only received one bid, and it was from Rumpke. Unfortunately, we didn't get any other bids. But I'll talk a little bit about where those bids align here a little bit later. We asked for 2 different types of bids from them. The current status quo, which is weekly unlimited solid waste and recycling services. And then we did ask, not that we're recommending going this way, but weekly unlimited solid waste and every other week recycling. There's only, basically, I'll cut to the chase on that, there's only $1 difference. So it didn't make much sense to go any further down that path with that. If you look in your packet, we're currently at $15.20. Is what they charge us per resident per month. It's $16.30 with $1.10 surcharge for outside. You see it goes up. Their proposed price is now $18. So it does go up by $2.80. And as you see, second years over that, and also it continues to go up by 70 to 80 cents. We did have CLG look at benchmarking across the kind of southwest area, and what they found is for 2026, 27, and 28, and even 29, the numbers came in higher than the 18 as far as what others are paying. They're closer to 20, 21, and 22 for consecutive years. So we do feel this is a fair price. We do feel that, yes, it went up, but as is unfortunately everything right now, everything is going down. Also within there, it also shows what our multifamily commercial dumpsters, what those are going up to. Those are, we charge those basically directly to those customers, so that's kind of just a pass through. The other notable cost increase is if they need to replace a trash cart. So we own the trash carts, right? So we basically give them to all of our residents. If a trash cart is damaged or needs to be repaired, that's gone from $6 up to $80. So with that said, what we're looking for is the approval to enter into this contract. It will not go into effect until March 1st. Between now and then, Mr. Medler and I are looking at the finances and what we're going to request as far as the increase for our charges to our customers. So we're not looking for the increase currently yet. We will be coming back. On face, you would think that is just $2.80. Well, keep in mind we do offer other services such as brush pickup and other services that this is kind of lumped in together. So we need to take a look at that because we've kind of been watching that fund, and quite frankly, we're losing money in that fund. So we need to look at that and see what the right number is to come back to you with. But today, we're simply asking for the approval or the ability to sign this contract.
Any questions, Mr. Ori?
Mr. Weinich, so prior to Rumpke taking over from CSI, my question is CSI absolutely just refused to bid on it, or?
So the only other one that I think they were hoping to bid was Waste Management, I believe. That's the only one kind of in the area now. I don't know where CSI is going to be looking at it anymore. Okay. It's kind of, from what I understand, it's getting pretty darn close to being monopolized. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, I think they were hoping Waste Management actually was going to bid it. They actually sent in a letter of no bid. Okay. So they were aware of it, they just were not interested.
The second question is so and I read through not all 120 pages of this, but it's unlimited trash, which has been something that Loveland has, you don't see that in every community. You can put as much stuff out as you can, and they'll take it.
Yeah, it's reiterating to that point. Yeah. For everything that our customers are used to and we've been doing is going to continue. Yeah. None of the feedback, or what we call is feedback on the bid from Rumpke They did not object to any of the terms, which were the exact same terms as 5 years ago. So start time, and when they can start, complaints. So X amount of complaints, we can request, basically a fine sort of thing. So all those are still in place. One thing that's still in place, but we do monitor this and we make them document this, is fuel surcharge. So we pay attention to that when we do ask for additional monies. They do have to document that appropriately. That's all called out in the bid documents on how that has to be done. So essentially, what we entered into 5 years ago, this is exactly the same contract, except for the price we're paying.
Just a final comment. I noticed that you can't throw batteries away, and there's certain things you can't throw away. One thing I noticed, you can't throw your old pots and pans away. I just thought that was
So you know why that is.
PFAS.
They're full of it.
Well, brought that up for a reason.
All right. Anyone else? Mr. Ping.
Just a question on the increase. I understand that they're the only ones that provided a bid, but it's closing in on 20% increase year over year, which is not an inflation increase. So my question, I guess, goes back to those previous 5 years when we had the 3-year contract and the 2-year extension. Is this one of those situations where we've been having somewhat similar to what we did with Duke, where we have been kind of gliding under at a lower rate than everyone else, and now it's going up? Or is this more them preparing us for the next 5 years so that it can be just the smaller increase of 70 cents or so each year?
I think it's a factor of similar to electric and stuff, where it's when was your contract and when was your contract up? So how did you fall in that cycle? Because if you look, again, I think the benchmarking does help us see where we're at. In Southwest Ohio, the average is 2077. So yes, we're still below average. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a lot of everything. I think 5 years ago, my guess is 5 years ago, everything from environmental impacts, the environmental fees, all the loops they have to jump through as a landfill, as a regulated landfill, and all that stuff. I think it's changed. So I think that's part of it.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Do you have any idea how much we're spending a year on replacement cans for our residents?
No, I don't think it's a significant number.
Okay.
And we do, correct me if I'm wrong, but do we charge you guys?
I don't think you do.
No, we use that. We use that.
Well, and I ask because...
And that's where, so to your point, that's where we're going to pull those numbers. We're going to pull the run. And what do we need to increase in?
Well, but my point actually is, I mean, at the moment, there's a big crack in my recycling bin. All we do is gently roll it to the curb. It is the Rumpke people that break it, not us.
That's for sure.
And the city has to pay for that?
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can contact them in those circumstances.
Well, how do you prove that? I mean, it's got a big like break where they would take it and bang it against the side. But I don't see them do that. I don't have that on video, but I know that we just roll it out and roll it back. So they're doing it. So how do you prove that? It just seems it's bad enough we have to pay for it ourselves, but now they're going up $20. Seems like a pretty big increase to me. But that's why I was wondering how many times are we actually replacing in a year? If it's not that many, oh well. But
I don't think it's crazy at all as far as how many we're replacing. But I do think, to your point, I think we can push on it and say, hey, these are being damaged by you guys. So we can do a better job pushing back on it.
Yeah.
okay. All right. Any further questions, comments? All right. Go ahead and read the resolution, which is on page 320 of your pack.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Rumpke of Ohio for the collection, transportation, and delivery for disposal or processing of residential solid waste and recyclable materials generated within the city.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Ori,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps,
Yes.
Mr. Ping,
Yes.
Mayor Bailey.
Yes.
Resolution 92 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
All right, Mr. Kennedy.
So the legislation in front of council tonight is to allow us to take the next step towards the creation of basically a transformation of what was the mobile station into, we're calling it a gateway park. That's just something we've been calling it. By no means is that really what it is. The city purchased the mobile station in 2022. We knew that there was a couple benefits. One of it was removed a blighted structure, and two, we knew even prior to that that there would be traffic enhancements, and it may be one of the more significant. If you talk to some of the people in Warren County, as far as one of the more significant traffic enhancements with what that turn lane did in that area. When we bought that property, we knew we were buying a bit of a it's safe to say that property came with some baggage, and we knew it. It was actually worse than we thought. There was a lot more contamination. Former Assistant City Manager Corey Wright did a very good job of working with the Adams County land reutilization. That tapped into a source of funds, provided protections for the city, and really got us to that point where we were able to get that property cleaner and clean. I know that council at the time, Councilman Blair was very adamant about the city making that commitment to cleaning that property. Well, that property, we just recently received what's called an NFA, something that we'll soon be receiving on the Chestnut Street property. An NFA is basically EPA saying throughout this entire process, which has been going on for quite a while, you've done everything that's needed to be done. That property is clean. With that, and there was no hidden things. We weren't just talking about an abandoned tank that was leaking. We're talking about a tank that was actually in operation that was leaking. So if it weren't for the city taking this on and being able to tap into fundings that is exclusive to a city government, I don't know what would have ever happened to that property. It would have just kept continuing on as it did. So I will say that I think council did a wonderful job in making this commitment to that. With that, we also made another commitment. It was going to be a park, and don't kid yourself. There's been interest to do something commercial in that. There was actually a brief look at an office building in that, and the city's held true that the goal was to turn that into a park. In 2024, we unveiled a very preliminary, very high level design, and we think this is a project that we could fund through a couple sources, and we're not where we need to be able to really take it to that phase from a funding standpoint, and if funded, really bring this to the next level. And that is what we're proposing here in front of council, really taking this to the next step. This is, as council knows, this is where this stuff starts. This is how these projects get developed. This would be a signature element of the downtown district. It would feed not only areas like the fire station property, graders, and all of those people, but so this particular design would get us up to a point of a lot of the field work, the geotechnical, the landscaping. There's going to be a plumbing. The mayor was pointing out some about maybe enhancing the water feature, making it more prominent, and I think that would be an excellent idea. There's a lot of involved. Obviously, a lot of soil was removed, so geotechnical and what you're going to be able to put on top of it, the design, and get us right to a point where we'll have the concept rendering and be able to submit for funding. The total cost for this is $48,850. We sort of knew this was coming. I included this funding in the 2026 budget under 1316 5600.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Mr. Hart.
I know it doesn't directly come into play in this particular lot, but does this include sidewalk improvements to get across the train tracks?
Oh, Chris, and that's what we just were working on. That was part of what was just recently done with the lane closure on the bridge. So when we did the new parking lot, one of the aspects of the parking lot, along with the vehicular access, was the pedestrian access, and we were able to go only so far with the with the parking lot project, and then through the sidewalks and what Chris was working with the railroad, we were able to, with Chris working with the railroad, we were able to put in the gates. So that pedestrian pathway is now in place. This was really part of our whole goal to move, nothing against this part of downtown, but to start moving traffic towards pedestrian traffic up this way. That's why we're working so hard to get the right product in the fire station. I'm sorry.
I know working with the railway can be a
Did you mean on 48 or on West Loveland?
I'm sorry.
Which
48.
one? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that can be a bit of a bear working with.
It was just finished, wasn't it?
It just got finished. Yeah, Chris has got a good relationship with the railroad.
Good job.
I'm sorry, I rambled.
So prior to yesterday, we had that pad there, but no finish. Like you couldn't get across. You had to kind of go. After yesterday, we got that gate, what's called a Z gate, and they asphalted across the tracks.
Okay.
On the tracks.
Right.
So you can get across now without.
Fantastic.
Any other questions or comments? All right, we'll go ahead and read the resolution.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with KCF Design for engineering services for the development of a new downtown park at 106 West Loveland Avenue.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Goodyear.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Ori.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Yes.
Mr. Ping.
Yes.
Mayor Bailey.
Yes.
Mr. Bateman.
Yes.
Resolution 93 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Mr. Kennedy?
So this would be the ordinance that follows the public hearing regarding the creation of the Nisbet District. This was a process that the Planning and Zoning Commission worked on. I'm not exaggerating, literally all summer long, analyzing this to a whole different level in terms of first defining the boundaries, second of all, defining into intricate details, the setbacks, the heights, the uses of every building within the new district. Once the district was fairly defined in boundaries and everybody had a good handle on exactly what was involved, the process began to create a district that would be sensitive to this very unique area that just didn't fit well within what the H district provides. H district is a much broader area, and this didn't fit. And so by creating the new district, but being sensitive being sensitive to the existing structures and how they would be grandfathered in, and not only would they be able to continue, but they would actually be able to expand. That is, if I'm a property owner, Tim and Kay, or anyone in that area, this is a very important feature because it's not the goal of council to be stifling that, but also be sensitive to what you would want to put in. With that came creation of new districts and modifications to existing districts. Created a new district called Chapter 1159. 1159 does the purpose. But one of the things that I thought was pretty unique that the Planning and Zoning Commission did with 1159 was they took this opportunity to put in some special provisions regarding parking, access, street trees, fencing, and screening. Just defining it a little bit more, putting a little bit more restrictives that are specifically for that use. We were using a model out of the Columbus area, and when looking at it, we noticed that they were very specific. These streets you will access from this road, and so on and so forth. That made sense that this should have a provision in it that says any future development on railroad within this boundary shall be accessed off of First Street. Makes no sense to be ever leading someone down the path that we're going to open up First Street. And then when it came to the table of permitted uses, they spent at least 2 meetings going through every particular use on whether it would be excluded, permitted, special exceptions, or conditional. That was quite a long process because they wanted to be sensitive. They wanted to. This is really, to be honest, why this went from being called a cottage district to the district, because cottage district, quite frankly, entailed almost all residential, and there were certainly commercial uses that the commission felt would fit in here. And then, of course, under the table of permitted uses is also what we call the table of permitted minimum and maximum requirements, and this would be one of the more significant changes in this. There was no changes to density, and there was no changes to setbacks. This was also where we analyzed the floodplain and how far buildings would have to be elevated and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, one of the more significant changes here was the building height went from 45-foot maximum to more defined as 2 stories. With that, and finally, the last thing they had to do was with this, because there would be commercial uses, there was a creation of 1173-22, which was the Nisbet District, sign regulations, and much detail went into which signs, what size. Those largely followed what the office residential district requirements were. At the end of the day, I think you've got a new district that will not inhibit growth, will not deter existing uses, but will restrict what will allow future buildings that are more in fitting with what this is a fairly unique portion of the city.
Right, you want to explain why you're asking this be
Oh, I'm sorry.
passed as an emergency?
We are also requesting that this be passed as an emergency. Part of when you're dealing with this, we're dealing with interest in properties. We felt that it would be easier to just get this in place rather than be dealing with developers who we would be saying, oh, by the way, this will be changing. There's first readings and second reading in 30 days. That was one of the main reasons that we wanted to do this, was just to go ahead and get the zoning codes in place. I'm sorry, I forgot to add that.
All right. Any comments or questions?
Just make it.
Yes, I should start with you, Mr.
It's okay. It's no. Mr. Kennedy mentioned the detail that went into this, and I really do think it happened in a relatively short amount of time, really. And the devil was in the details with this, because, in my mind, it was hard to discern at first pass what the reason for doing this was. I mean, we had, and I mentioned last meeting that a lot of this was resident driven and initiated, and I think that was definitely the North Star for this, was to create an element, a district that leaned heavily on preservation, but then didn't inhibit growth, as Mr. Kennedy said. And I think that's one of the key things that took place was, the original intent was to create an overlay and to have 3 zones on top of each other, and that was quickly perceived as inconvenient and maybe overcomplicated. And so it was pivoted to what we currently have here, which is the creation of a new district. And I think it was very innovative to make the change of the primary change here was the height restriction, and to instead of fixing on a specific height requirement as most of our other zones have, given the fact that all of these potential new builds would require elevation, a base of elevation that might be hard to define. The landing on 2 stories allows for a good deal of flexibility, but also sets the parameters that are sometimes difficult to define in terms of the character of that district. So it also allows for flexibility when you talk about 2.5 stories, or a decorative feature or a screen to hide power equipment on the tops of buildings. Those things could be easily reconciled with a BZA appeal, given that there's some flexibility written into the zone. It also, that flexibility would promote maybe a more traditional style that would have gables as opposed to big block buildings that would raise up to the specific height requirement, whether it would be 35 feet, 40 feet, whatever. So I really think that brainstorming that took place both in the P&Z but also by staff has really produced something that the residents of that area asked for and petitioned to do, and we've used the wheels of our government to make that to take shape. So I really am encouraged by this as a great example of local government working in the best interests of the residents. And it was challenging because of the attempt to do something that hadn't been done, at least since I've been on council. I don't know that we created a new zone per se. And the last thing I'll say, and this is really more of a question, unless there's other comments, but with the creation of this zoning district, one of the things that came to mind was that there's a whole separate neighborhood on the other side of O'Bannon Creek that shares a great deal in common with the types of residents that exist here. And they're neither in the historic district, they're in their own separate residential district. But I'm just using them as an example, maybe an aspirational one. But if someone like that, a neighborhood like that, were to petition in the same way to become part of this district, would it be an easier process for them to join an existing district as opposed to crafting one from scratch?
I don't know that area is a little bit unique. It wouldn't fit unless you also expanded the historic district, because part of this design that I don't know, to be honest with you, Andy. I know what area you're talking about, but I don't know exactly how that would fit.
I was just curious. It's just something that came to mind as I was reviewing this today. But sorry to take this on a tangent. Again, I'll just wrap up by saying that I think this is a really winning solution to anchor that area as distinct. I am looking forward to how the Historic Preservation Commission might craft some new language in their guide that would reflect this change, so that it'll be even clearer when potential new development comes to this newly created district.
Thank you. Any further comment or questions? Yes, Mr. Ping.
Not to take it on another tangent, I guess, but the question I have on the height versus stories kind of goes to where that's defined, and my lack of understanding of where that's defined. So my question is, I guess, does anyone know what that means in terms of planning and zoning? Is that defined in the zoning code?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's a specific thing that is clearly, and here's the basis of my question, just to explain why I'm asking. From a building code perspective, the notion of a story, while that might seem like a very well-defined thing, is not necessarily as well-defined as one might think. And so, for example, I could have a 2-story building that has 20-foot story heights that's 40 feet tall and put a partial floor in called a loft or a mezzanine that, as long as it's a certain square footage relative to the rest of the building, is not a story. And now you have 4 stories on one side and 2 stories on the other, and they're just really tall. And that's not, I think, what you're intending with this zoning. So that's one thing that came to mind. The other is that frequently certain types of things don't count as stories. So, for example, if I put a concrete podium in with cars parked underneath and then built a 2-story structure on top, there are circumstances where that could be called a 2-story building, even though I think most reasonable people would look at it and say, that's a 3-story building because it's got 3 levels. So the reason I'm bringing it up is, as much as anything, 45 feet could be in some circumstances more restrictive. The other thing in a different direction is the person who wants to build a 2-story house of the old style that has an attic in it, does that count as a story? And now we're prohibiting something that might be exactly the kind of structure that you're describing. That's the old 2-story farmhouse with the 3rd floor that has the gable, or not gable, but dormers off the sides and so forth. So I guess in all of that, I don't know the answers to these questions, so I'm throwing them out there just because I think it's something at least worth thinking about if we're going to put this into a zoning requirement, that we aren't limiting something we may want, or worse yet, actually making it easier to permit something that we're trying to prevent in that particular area as far as it looks. So I don't know if that's something you guys talked about that you could speak to, Mr. Bateman, or not.
I mean, that was the crux of a lot of, at least 2 meetings, I think, was trying to determine defining stories. And I think it took me a little bit of time to come around to seeing it as an advantage, because similarly, I thought it was maybe potentially too vague, or it didn't exist elsewhere in the code. But I think the definition and putting that clearly in there is something that helps solidify this as a grounding rationale. I also think that, as I mentioned before, putting the HPPC as still integrated into that particular area could help to shape and potentially diminish any exaggerations or hyperbolic examples of a 50-foot 2-story building. let's put the cost prohibitive nature of something like that aside and just grant it to money is no object. If somebody wanted to do that, could they? And that's where the two zones, I think, work together in harmony, is that you've got something that is intended to provide not restricted regulations, but like-minded flexibility in terms of uses, setbacks, and height requirements that will also be protected by the HPPC. So I think 2.5 stories, you could potentially do that to your example of the old style. I still think that we've got to draw the line somewhere. 2 is probably cleaner and more in line with what's there currently. And a project always has that opportunity to ask for a variance. And I would rather put those, considering the size of this district, it's not something where the opportunity to see case after case is going to bombard the workload. To look at it on a single case by case basis, if that were to come up, and it will eventually, to get HPPC approval. So anything is going to have to, at least even if it's within the zone, is going to have some kind of official review. So I think that giving that flexibility allows for that. Whereas the height requirement, I think it's just difficult. And thinking of that from the base up, knowing that, do you start from the fact that these would all have to be elevated, and what is that elevation baseline? At least going with the 2-story, example, you're eliminating some of the potential guesswork that we would have to codify and leaving it to be more flexible for the actual applicant in the future. I hope that explains. At least that was kind of my way of going around it. But I had a difficult time, and I think staff did a great job of listening to the concerns and coming up with ways that they were being met by zoning code.
Yeah, thank you. And like I said, it's less of a criticism and more just zoning codes. In my real job, I actually have to deal with these things on a regular basis, and there are a lot of things that just squirrel their way in through all sorts of little crevices and cracks, and there are also things that a lot of times I think get disallowed that aren't intended. And it's, while it might seem not that big of a deal to go to a zoning appeal, that's something that is not always perceived as no big deal. Let's just go ahead and move forward with the project, knowing that there could be a lack of ability. So yeah, that was I appreciate your explanation. Thanks.
All right. Any further questions or comments? All right. I support this because it is absolutely resident driven, and I think we all see a difference. Sort of, Harrison is the dividing line. That this area really needed to be treated differently in some fashion, and I think this is a great way to preserve that particular district and keep it looking at least close as we can to where it was. We'll go ahead and read the ordinance.
Ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Loveland, Ohio, Part 11, Planning and Zoning Code, and the official zoning map to allow for the creation of the Nesbit zoning district and declaring an emergency.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Ordinance 94 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Mr. Kennedy?
This is just a bit of a housekeeping item. Section 15509 of the city's codified ordinance pertaining to life insurance coverage for full and part-time employees. This is driven a lot by just how we go through different things, personnel, and so on and so forth. For those of us that are employees of the city, all of us that are sitting here, we're very fortunate with the benefits that we get with the city. That's why you see people that are here 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 years. And with that comes continuity. With that comes expertise. We're also very well aware of the fact that we can lose employees to other communities. So this is really just trying to clean up a couple items that we have with our life insurance coverage for full-time employees. we needed to point out that there's reduction factors at 65 and at 70 that wasn't spelled out. Not that that happens a lot. We needed a clear identification on how exactly do we calculate part-time employees and also just part-time employees that start mid-year. So we worked through this. We're really obviously very fortunate to have Julie Robinson work through this. But this is through 2 readings. We're just looking for an amendment to Section 15509 of the city's codified codes.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Go ahead and read the ordinance, please.
Ordinance amending section 155.09 of the codified ordinances of Loveland, Ohio.
Thank you. Mr. Weinich?
Thank you, Mayor. As part of council meeting, update for you guys where we're going. Since the last time I spoke to council, some of the big things that have happened, obviously, notified in August of our principal forgiveness loan in the amount of $1.33 million for the design work. That allowed us to immediately start negotiations with AECOM. We got the scope of fee hashed out fairly quickly. They started design. They're closing in on their 30% submittals to the city. They've completed the rapid small scale testing. Basically, what that is they took 4. We know we're using random activating carbon. We took 4 different types and ran them through some testing to determine what is the most effective at removal and which ones are going to last. We think they're going to last the longest. So these tests should give us an idea of what the optimal GAC we need to use. So that's been completed. The analysis is still being done. That is done in the Austin, Texas lab with AECOM. And that, like I said, that'll help us select that medium. We got our most recent test results in September for PFAS. Again, very similar numbers. PFOS in the 17 parts per trillion range. That was, this time we did just the 3 wells as our raw water, so we took the average of those numbers for this test. We actually did get a finished water one. But at the end of the day, we're still seeing the same numbers. Those numbers are not changing. They're very, very similar. Staff did take a trip to Wright Pat at Air Force Base to look at their GAC installation. Very similar installation that they have in Wright Pat. So it's good to get our operators out there, out there like Singleton. So that was good. And we continue to get our settlements in periodically. I think we're right around $850,000 that we brought in. So it's going to put a small dent in our construction costs. Once again, we're still looking somewhere in the $2 million range, give or take, for the total in those settlements. But remember, those are over a 10-year period. They're front loaded. So they're front loaded and then they slowly come down. Other than that, it's kind of where we're at.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Weinich.
No, actually, I just wanted to make a couple of points. Sorry, I know I've been hogging the mic a little bit, but I want to thank you for these updates. I think it goes to show that we're continually moving forward on this approach to solve this issue. I wanted to just acknowledge the fact that Mr. Donmeyer spoke and wanted to make some his opinion that the city has been lagging in some way or has been negligent in its efforts of communicating our work. And having sat here throughout this entire saga, I find that to be a little disappointing, because I know that couldn't be any further from the truth. I think that we've all looked at this as a very serious, if not the most serious issue of this council that we're facing, and that we have been dealt a hand that has been shifting from the very beginning. We weren't exactly sure how to move forward, and thanks to the wisdom of our staff and our decisions that we've made on council throughout this, we've been able to deal with what is an ambiguous and oftentimes unclear issue that we're facing and try to chart a course forward. And I can't overstate how difficult that must be and continues to be to try to find orientation when it's not so easily attained. So I just wanted to briefly, if you'll please, give me this grace to just read a little bit of the timeline, the history of events as I recall them. And some of it predates most of us on council. In June 2016, the US EPA set a non-enforceable lifetime health advisory at 70 parts per trillion. So that was the benchmark and was the operative benchmark in 2020. In 2019 and 2020, they launched a PFAS action plan, the Ohio EPA, and started to do statewide sampling of 1,500 public water systems. In July 2020, one of the things that we did as council was an upgrade of our SCADA system, which helped to modernize monitoring and control of wells, pumps, booster stations, storage tanks. We basically put a bunch of money into our water system, which allowed us to continue to maintain control. In 2020, we reported 18.6 ppt in the finished water, and that was below the current 70 ppt from the EPA. In September of 2020, we worked to enhance our water fund stability when we were realizing that we were having issues with the water fund. So we changed the rate structure so that water enterprise fund was solvent. In October, we drafted a minimum monthly usage upgrade so that we could again reinforce our water utility fund. 2021, Flexum flow meters to again restore accurate real-time production and flow measurement across wells and booster stations. August 2021, submitting an Ohio EPA water and wastewater infrastructure grant application to replace the water plant's emergency generator to help reliability and continuous treatment and delivery during power outages. In September and October of 2022, we promoted an internal employee to water treatment plant superintendent, investing in our people to help with our water system. And then later we gave them licenses or credentialing to help upskill and get them up to par or beyond the level that we currently were, investing in our people. In 2023, we joined the multi-district litigation to protect ratepayers to allow for some relief on the PFAS issue. 2023 in July, we noted the 3 wells measurements. In April, the US EPA finalized enforceable drinking water standards. So for 4 years, we didn't know what the standards were going to be, but we continued to put money and resources into our water system and our people that are managing those systems. And when we think about an alternative of giving up that resource and having somebody else and absolving ourselves of the responsibility to improve this, is essentially shooting ourselves in the foot. Ostensibly, I would say it's saying that we don't think we have what it takes to solve this problem for our residents, and that was never going to be the case. And Mr. Weinich has come on board since this timeline and has continued to provide regular updates throughout our council session. And as we wind down this council session, with this being one of the chief challenges that we're facing and that we've continued to face every day to try to get better and to make it so that the residents can feel safe to be drinking water that is going to meet these new standards. I just wanted to take a minute and reflect on the fact that this has never been far from our main priority and will continue to be going forward. And any discussion to the contrary that we aren't out to help our residents with clean water is not necessarily reflective of the facts and could be construed as maybe convenient or opportunistic in a campaign season. I'm not suggesting that was the case, but I wanted to state for the record how I felt about that as it played out during the last 3 months, and more to the point, reinforce my personal conviction that we're going to continue to push this over the finish line and get that big fix that we need for everybody that is a consumer of Loveland City water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ori.
Just to piggyback on what Mr. Bateman has said, PFAS is a, and I've mentioned this before. It's a global issue. It's not just a Loveland issue. It is if you cook in Teflon pans, you're getting PFAS. If you're wearing Gore-Tex clothes or shoes, that's got PFAS in it. If you're popping popcorn out of the bags, it's got PFAS in it. So it's not just water. And like Mr. Bateman said, this is an issue that has snuck on up on the city. It's an issue that has been not resolved, but we are working towards a resolution as quick and as responsible as we can. If we had $17 million, Pat, you want to write a check for $17 million? We'll fix it right now. That's not going to happen. We're working on it. One final comment. The contamination of our water. Think about an Olympic-sized pool. 3 drops of water in that Olympic-sized pool. I'm drinking the water. I'm not dying. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hart.
I would just bring up one point that was brought up earlier. I think, Mr. Gwyneth, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong. When we applied for that grant for the design, the $1.3 million we just got, we had to study, we had to produce some evidence that keeping our own water supply was better than regionalizing. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So as part of the funding, you have to create what's called a general plan. In that general plan, one of the things you have to talk about and prove, because it's a huge thing. Ohio EPA is regionalization. I just got back from another seminar, and they talk about regionalization before they talk about treating for PFAS. They want everybody to regionalize more than treating for PFAS. So we had to do, and this took a long time, upwards of 6 months back and forth with Ohio EPA, providing everything they wanted. We sat down, we went down to Cincinnati's office, met with them several times, and we got basically a price proposal. So we needed a price proposal from them. It's not as simple as just turning on the valves and bringing water in. It's approximately $1.3 million in improvements that have to be made for them to serve all of our customers today. It just, elevation-wise, the size of pipes, there is improvements that have to be made. So you had the upfront cost, you had the cost that they would charge us for the water. So they had to provide us a number, and I backed out right here.
It was roughly triple, I believe. It was roughly triple, I believe.
It was about 2.5 times. It's a 20-year net present value that you do. You run it's online at Ohio EPA has it. We have general plans out there. It shows what it costs us over 20 years compared to going to Cincinnati. That's essentially what got us that money. So if we couldn't prove that, they weren't going to give us money. They want you to if it makes sense. It didn't make sense for us, so that's why we're going this direction.
Thank you. So, and it's the third time I've heard you explain that, and I appreciate you doing it again. Council made a mistake years and years and years ago to give up our sewer treatment plant. Now, that may have been right at that time. MSD is now running our sewer treatment plant. They control rates. Giving up control of our water supply would be an asinine decision if we can avoid it, which it seems as though we can. I think I appreciate your work on this. I continue to appreciate your work on this. I continue to appreciate you keeping this front of mind. Bringing us updates on this every 5th council meeting is very helpful for both us and our residents.
Thank you. Mr. Goodyear.
So, Mr. Wyatt, just so to bring what you said back kind of to the discussion this evening, I know Mr. Bateman mentioned Mr. Dahlmeyer's speech here this evening, and he asked a question, and I was going to ask you, and Mr. Hart got into it a little bit. The discussion is, well, in if you think about it kind of out of context, it makes sense. Why can't we just get water temporarily from the city of Cincinnati that's already treated? Therefore, we have safe water right now, according to the, or I guess, water without PFAS in it. Why can't we just do that? And I think you just answered it, that for the city to be able to even think about doing that, we'd have to spend $1.3 million on top of the $17 million that we're going to have to spend to remediate our water right now. Is that right?
If you spent the 1.3, if you spent the 1.3 that we have today, 17 would be treated. Yes, you'd have to still work through those plants. Yeah, it doesn't go away.
Right.
You still have to eventually build your plant that'll treat. So it doesn't go away. Correct.
Right. So you're talking about $18.3 million, not $17 million. And we're already in a situation where you told us, I asked you during the CIP meeting, I said, what money exists that you know we can get from any government source to help us with this? And I think you told us that the max we could expect is around $6 million. Is that right?
I believe the max we're going to be able to get from the same type of loan from WSRLA, the max they get for construction is $4 million. And then I referenced, we're hoping for $2 million in settlements.
Right.
So that's around $6 million. Again, I'm very hopeful, as is many other communities, that there will be more money at some point. But the key to that, what we've set ourselves up for, is similar to when ARPA money came out, shovel ready, right? So shovel ready projects. We're going to have ourselves to the point where we're shovel ready, so we'll be first in line should more money come available. One other comment I just want to make about Cincinnati Water. They are currently working on design plans also to treat their water for PFAS. They currently, approximately 85% of their water is from, I always confuse the two, essentially the Ohio River. 85 to 90% comes from there. 10% comes from the Hamilton, the Grapevine Valley. They're considered one water system. I asked this to Ohio EPA. I said, are they considered one water system? Yes, they are. So they're one PWS ID, which is the same what we are. They're doing PFAS design because they have PFAS in their water. They can't tell you where the water's coming from at all times. So they have to treat that water under the same timeline that we are. So I don't know, would a Loveland resident, if they turn their faucet on, if we were getting Cincinnati water, would it be 1 part per trillion, would it be 4 parts per trillion? It's going to have something in it, but we don't know. We wouldn't know what it was. So when the U.S. EPA says no amount of PFAS is acceptable, with Cincinnati water, you still have PFAS in the water system. So that is one thing to keep in mind. I'm not saying it's greater than 4. I'm not suggesting any of that. I'm simply saying they have worked in the levels.
Right. And if I could make a comment, I would echo what Mr. Bateman said. And, at the end of the day, obviously we're elected officials. We're here representing the citizens and residents of this city, but we also live here. I live here with my family. I've got a granddaughter with us all the time. And I care very much about this. And so the notion that somehow we don't have honest conversations about this, that we don't care about this, is troubling to me, because everyone on this dais I know feels exactly the opposite. I know that there was some discussion with the change in federal administrations that the EPA might walk away from the idea of having any type of standard. It might not be 4, it might not be 70, it might be nothing. There might be no standard. And I know everyone here, despite that, is still committed to the notion that we're going to remediate our water. We're going to do whatever it takes to make sure the water is as safe as it possibly can be. So the reason why Mr. Weinich made a presentation this evening is because it's on the Councilmatic worksheet. And the reason for that is because we as a council decide this is one of the most important issues we have. So we want a quarterly update for the citizens on what we're doing. That wasn't the case I think it was about 18 months ago we started doing that. So I know everyone here cares very much about this. I care very much about this. I did. I find it disconcerting and troubling to hear comments about somehow in general how we are not taking this seriously, or we're not doing what we can, because I do believe we are, and I think that everyone sincerely here wants this resolved, and we're going to do as much as we can, as fast as we can to do that. But I think it's an important point to make, and I understand the question, but we already are in a massive financial hole trying to resolve this. Then going to Cincinnati and having to pay $1.3 million more is just not possible. It's just not possible. So I appreciate Mr. Weinch, and Mayor, thank you for giving me the chance to speak.
Any other comments? I guess I would just agree with everything that was said. I do, Mr. Weinsch, we were very lucky to have you and your expertise in this regard. But I think we would all agree that Mr. Weinsch or no one here is an expert in the underlying issue of what are going to be the ramifications of PFAS, what are the best ways for individuals to protect themselves against PFAS. That's why we defer to the EPA. We're doing everything we can from our perspective to do what we need to do to make sure we're meeting the guidelines and protecting our citizens. But this is why we keep pushing our citizens to look at the EPA information. And I am troubled by seems to be a intimation, accusation that we are sort of trying to hide the fact that we have a PFAS issue. That is so far from the truth. We're talking about it all the time here. We have put it repeatedly on our water bills, have we not? Which go to every single user every month. There's information on there with very links. Here's where you go. We have made it front and center on our website, made it as easy as possible on our website to get the information. Just a couple weeks ago, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Weinich, and I spent, however much time of our days looking at the website together. How can we make it easier? How can we make it more front and center that, this is what you need to do. If you are interested, this is where to find the information, pushing them to the experts or where to get the information that they need, because that's what we should be doing. We don't pretend to be experts. And we just had a newsletter that also went to every single person's home. And that was pretty front and center. PFAS, it's almost a full page. We're not hiding it. I think we're screaming it from the mountaintops. We have an issue. Here's where you get the information. But you should be going to the source of who are the experts in this. It's the EPA, and that's who I think we should. And we're giving all the links to tell them exactly what to do. So does that mean we don't keep looking for more? Just like a few weeks ago when we looked at it, we will keep looking for ways to do better. But we certainly aren't hiding or shying away from this issue, and we are doing our best to address it head on. And I think we're doing a pretty fair job at that. All right. Anything else on the PFAS issue from anyone? All right. Announcements. Registration is open for the second annual City of Loveland Gingerbread House Contest. This is a fun way to show off your creativity and holiday spirit by building your best gingerbread creation. All entries will be on display during the city's Christmas tree lighting festival on Saturday, December 6th. You can find registration details on the city's website. Thank you to all our veterans. Yesterday was Veterans Day. I know Mr. Jaranek is in the house and is a veteran. If there's anyone else a veteran? All right, well, you're it. You're representing. Mr. Kennedy and I were at St. Columban yesterday for their salute to veterans, which was very nice. I know Mr. Hart said that the schools also saluted veterans. So thank you to all of our veterans for all that you have done for us and continue to do. That's all I have on. Yes.
A couple months ago, Zeb and I and our grandkids were walking on a bike trail, and we had a pretty close call with a bicyclist that was flying through town. So it prompted me to investigate how can we slow the bikers down. So I've got some good news about this. So bear with me just a second. So the portion of the trail between Broadway Avenue and the new bridge needs to be speed zone oriented. So I talked to Mr. Kennedy about it, and he referred me to Tiffany Deschamps Hunt, who is with the Department of Natural Resources, Parks and Watercraft Division. And I emailed her with some suggestions about striping the trail, entering a speed zone signage on written onto the trail with speed bumps, whatever we could do. I even suggested like a 7-mile-an-hour speed limit, and Tiffany took it to her the Law and Order or Law Enforcement Department of Department of Resources, and they found it to be very beneficial. And so I got word just last week that they are going to stripe, write, put signs up to control that speed on the bicyclist through town.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other announcements? All right, we do actually have an executive session. I believe the Vice Mayor is going to make the motion. And assuming that motion passes, Mr. Hart will join us for the beginning of the executive session. The beginning. And then that way you can. Yep.
I move to go to executive session under Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G2 to consider the sale of property.
Thank you. Is there a second? All right. Call a roll, please.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Oh, no.
Solve all the problems in the world.
Yep. Every one of them.
I knew you would.
Everybody, we have a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Or second.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Yes.
Mr. Ping. Mayor Bailey.
Yep.
Mr. Bateman.
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Ori.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.